What's up, guys? Jeremy Conn here, Lowdown with Pickdawgz.com. Appreciate you guys checking this out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. It'll tell you every time one of these gets posted, and I post one every day. And it's interesting because I always like to talk about what happened, but I'm usually talking about 2 days before because, when I record this, it's before the other games. But I had a weird day on Tuesday, was it? Yeah, 3-1-1, or no, I should say 3-1, and then the other game got postponed. I had the over in the Red Sox game, and it didn't work out. But that one gets busted. But it is kind of funny just to think about it because I was all over the under in the WNBA Commissioner's Cup, and we had Caitlin Clark get rolled out, and then I was like, man, I just gained like 7 points because I bet it early. But yeah, really good spot there. Anyway, I do have to keep this one relatively short, and I know every time I say that it ends up going about 15 minutes. We'll have some longer ones here coming up for the holidays. But I want to go over today's games, what I'm seeing, what I kind of like, and then we'll give out the free play at the end. I think there's opportunities here in all these games, and very similar. You're going to hear me on kind of saying a similar thing about each one of these games, especially when it comes to my pick. You'll understand what I'm saying in a minute. We got the Yankees and the Blue Jays. This would be one of those days where they potentially could open up the dome. I don't know that they will. If they do, the wind's in at about 9 miles an hour. It's Clark Schmidt versus Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett just got beat up in his last game. Didn't look like himself. Not that he's a great pitcher, but I do think he can get through this Yankees lineup and work around the guys that he doesn't want to face, Aaron Judge and so on. But I really like Clark Schmidt, and I think he can definitely keep this right-handed lineup that the Blue Jays trot out at bay. I mean, it's a very right-handed lineup, and I know if you look at Andres Gimenez and what he's been doing, he had a bomb the other day. But yeah, I think this is a really good underplay. And I was kind of talking about Max Fried the other day and saying that when you look at Max Fried, he's a guy that was due for some negative regression, and we've slowly started to see that. And I think we're going to see that with some of these other teams and pitchers we'll get to. But, again, this looks like a good underplay to me. The second game I wanted to bring up, it's the Nats as they're hosting the Detroit Tigers. Wind's kind of blowing left to right. It may actually change during the game, which is one of the weird things. It's only 5 to 6 miles an hour, so it's not like it's a huge help or anything. But I would say if you're looking at Jake Irvin, this is an interesting guy starting for the Nats against what's going to be a bullpen game, I believe, for the Tigers. They haven't listed a starter just yet, but it feels like that's what comes up next for them. Jake Irvin, go look at his splits. He's a totally different pitcher at home as opposed on the road. On the road, he's got a 5-run ERA. At home, he's in the 3s. So I like this spot for him to keep this game under the total. Now, moving on to the Astros and Rockies, and if you guys heard me talking about it, I don't ever really bet cores all that much. But if you're looking at this game, the game yesterday, it was like the wind's blowing out. It's 90 degrees. It's Hunter Brown's first start in cores. It all made so much sense to go with the over. And that Astros lineup, predominantly right-handed, and the wind's blowing out to left at 10 miles an hour. Again, these are all things I look at. Some people may not consider it, but I do. So anyway, looking at the Astros and Rockies today, wind's about 6 to 7 miles an hour. It gets stronger as the day goes on to blowing out, but it's kind of like it's just like the other game I just talked about. The wind starts in one direction, it's moving, so you're not gaining an advantage really one way or the other. It's Brandon Walter, whose numbers look fairly decent, only a couple of starts, against Kyle Freeland, who he sucks. I mean, we know that, but at times this guy can, even in cores with the nonsense lefty stuff that he has, throwing up there and getting guys to pound the ball into the dirt. I like the under here, and it's a day game as well, which you're going to have help from the shadows, and I think that is troublesome at times. Now, lastly, we're going to get to the Brewers and Mets. 9 miles an hour winds. They're blowing left to right, so can be a little bit difficult at times if it gets, if the wind picks up a lot when it's going left to right or right to left, whatever. It's going to be in the mid-80s, so I don't think there's much help either way there. Jose Quintana and David Peterson, I think these guys are very similar in their styles and how they approach the game. Quintana's been different as an older pitcher now, but we watched him multiple times. These guys can get ground balls. They can work through the lineups. I'm not fearing this Brewers team. The one thing that we talk about with the Brewers, if they get on base, they are going to run. And I think some of that damage can be limited by David Peterson. And if you look at, again, Quintana against this Mets team, What goes on with the Mets at times? This is such a good team, and we see them disappear. I think this is a good underspot for my free play. Sorry for the short podcast, guys. This has been a crazy, crazy day. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll have one all throughout the holidays. Make sure you're checking out all the plays, my premium picks over at Pickdawgz.com. What I put out on Thursday or on Wednesday, I put out a 5 play, so that's my 5-run homer. That's 5 games. Triple play, 3 games. And we've been doing really well. I've had 11 of 14 winning days. We'll find out how today goes. So definitely check it out. You got questions, hit me up on social media at JConn Sports is my Twitter handle. Thanks again for watching, guys.